What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, breaking in with an unscheduled video. The Division 2 review or first impressions today, probably 6 p.m. my time. So hopefully you will make sure to check that out, even though I'm about the last person on the planet to get it out. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do, remember to be kind and thumbs up. So a bunch of people are tweeting me to let me know that apparently I'm responsible for other YouTubers being blacklisted, particularly a YouTuber named Clean Prince Gaming. I'm not really familiar with him. I've seen his videos here and there. I know there's some sort of meme war against him, and I don't want to get into that. The guy does apparently make videos in the same space I do. No shade. But he put out a video that called out two YouTubers, SkillUp and The Quartering. He did it in a polite way, but what he said was interesting to me, and I want to respond to both him and the idea that blacklisting is even relevant anymore.
Let me preface this by bringing up two YouTubers who some of you are going to think, why are you bringing up then? Let me preface this by doing that. There's a YouTuber named SkillUp. You might know him from Layman Gaming. In fact, they just joked around about me just the other day on their channel. SkillUp is an amazing reviewer and a great guy, a guy who I've spoken to at length multiple times. Amazing dude who has my unconditional support. He is an unbiased and phenomenal game reviewer. That is what he does, and he's incredible at his job. The Quartering, somebody who just broke the Apex Legends story, first to do it before anybody else. I spoke about it just the other day. He reports the news, and he does so as objectively as possible almost all the time, well, unless things don't require objectivity, in which case that's fine too. But the point is, he reports the news, and he does an excellent job at doing so.
So right away, a bunch of you messaged me saying some things along the lines of Clean Prince Gaming blames you for being blacklisted by EA. I'm not sure. This video appears to me to be largely unscripted, and if anything, after enduring the 20-minute long video twice, I think the best I can come up with is he's saying that people like SkillUp and myself and other YouTubers have been negative about EA in the past, and it's that negativity that has led to his blacklisting.
These two people, as you're about to hear this progress, are the reason this problem hasn't gotten out of hand. Not them specifically, but people like them.
So, and this video isn't to go to war with Clean Prince Gaming. I think he's trying to genuinely be complimentary. I think he seems frustrated that he had worked, and he must clearly value these connections. The idea of getting a review copy is important to him, and I think he's disappointed that EA is painting him in the same light as other YouTubers, and he in particular mentions SkillUp and myself, whom have been negative in EA's eyes in terms of their coverage. In fact, he even goes on to insinuate that he has some sort of connections or some sort of inside knowledge to know that both SkillUp and I are blacklisted, and we have led to EA's decision to first give the kid an Anthem early access code and then revoke it. But I'm going to use this opportunity to try to cheer the guy up.
And thankfully, everybody that I know and every YouTuber I've seen isn't falling for these traps, but it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And that's unfortunate. So I want you guys to know one thing, specifically with my channel and the channels I've mentioned. People like The Quartering, people like SkillUp. I can speak specifically to SkillUp's character, but The Quartering, I'm just going off of what I've seen.
So you're mentioning channels that all have like 500,000 subscribers. So, and none of us are getting review copies of anything. The review copies / shill agreement is about as old as they come. And let me tell you, first and foremost, it's absolutely not required to grow your YouTube channel. The idea that you are selling your soul, even if you're not, is enough to put a specter of mistrust under anything you say. I'm going to tell you a story about Wizards of the Coast and myself. when I had a Magic the Gathering channel, I thought when I was first starting out, and in that space at that time, if you had 50,000 subscribers, that was a ton. I was, I think, the second or one of the first 2 or 3 channels ever to break 100,000 subscribers in that space. It's much smaller than video games. But people wrongfully thought that getting spoilers from Wizards of the Coast was some sort of great boon to your channel. And in my experience, it was rarely good. What would happen is I would break news and it would immediately get reposted to Reddit, and then other YouTubers would cover it and not give me credit anyway. Getting flown out to unique events makes for interesting content, but it erodes your viewers' trust. There isn't any amount of money that I can think that is a reasonable amount that I would take, any amount of perks, I should say, to risk my viewers thinking that anything I say is anything but my absolute opinion. So the fact that you're not getting review copies is a good thing. And to be honest, if you were getting them before, you should probably be disclosing that. Everybody knows that if a game developer is giving out review copies, it's in exchange for favorable reviews, or more specifically, lies by omission. Companies do this all the time. It's never explicitly said to you that if you go too hard, you won't hear from them again, but it's implied pretty obviously when you look around the room. Trading your soul for a review copy, or to be flown out to Bethesda events or any of these other BS things, it's super short-sighted, all right? You don't see Jim Sterling flying around to all these things and getting his, Fallout 76 sweatpants on and all this kind of stuff. The integrity of the channel is far more important than any insider relationships you have at companies. What you really want, Mr. Prince, is companies that fear you and respect you. You don't need to get early access to software to grow your channel. Your channel's bigger than mine. And I mean, I'm doing okay. And there are a lot of bigger channels than myself that have never been on the good side of developers. In fact, I would be lying to you if I didn't know that in general, negative coverage of gaming news is far better in terms of views, shares, and reactions. Being reactionary in this space and being honest, at least honest to yourself, is far more valuable than any early access will ever give you. Old media is dead. The idea that IGN and Polygon and Kotaku have any real pull just because they get review copies is outdated and absurd. They're all absolute memes. So what if IGN gets a game early and they can put out the review on day one? How many people are going to IGN for review, and how many people are going to wait a month for Angry Joe's review, or a month and a half for Jim Sterling's review? A far significantly, hugely bigger number. Those are 3 words that don't fit in that sentence. But the idea that, it's hard enough even when you're on your own, okay? If I were to positively cover a game, there will always be some percentage of people that think I'm getting paid to say so. That's the reality. Now imagine being on the inside with these game companies where you're getting review copies. Now you disclose. And as honest as you think you're being, your fan base is always going to question, is he holding back, or she? Are they holding back because they don't want to piss off the developer? I myself, as probably too skeptic at times, will generally not believe anything that any sponsored person has said ever, because I just choose to not be fooled. If I know that you got the game for free, I already know the type of pressure that creator's under to maintain that relationship, to maintain that exclusive access. That's where all of this Gamergate stuff started, with access journalism, right? This is probably before both of our times. I wasn't really around during Gamergate. I was playing video games and playing outside. But the point is, having special access is bad for your channel. It's better to be objective. And if I don't like when YouTubers talk about money, but let's be honest here, okay? Most new games now are issuing some level of beta or private beta access. So you're going to get into the game early enough to produce coverage for at launch or leading up to launch. I will be doing a Tom Clancy's Division 2 video tonight. The game's not even out yet. All right. Why? Because one kind viewer shared a beta code with me. If I absolutely had to, it's a very small expense to just, you know, let's just talk creator to creator. You could just pre-order the game, you know, just do the pre-order to get the beta access and get in and do your review. It's the cost of doing business. If you pre-order the game to get beta access, you can still tell your viewers, in your opinion, that the game isn't worth pre-ordering and that it isn't worth buying. You fall on your $60 sword, so your viewers and subscribers don't have to. I didn't want to pre-order Tom Clancy's, but if someone hadn't given me a code, I would have done it. So I could have done this video on Monday to cover it. I wouldn't have wanted to cover Anthem. If I would have had to pre-order Anthem to get access, I would have done it, because that's just the cost of doing business. Neither one of us in this particular case, and most people that cover video games or gaming in general, don't have a lot of overhead. Let's be honest. So I think we can afford to just buy the games and risk having the specter, the dirt, the stink of any interaction with developers publicly, period. I don't see any value. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be nice to them and that you shouldn't be objective. You mentioned that I'm objective in my coverage. I try to be, but I'm definitely not always objective, especially when it's an issue that I don't have to be objective about. When it's something that I'm giving my opinion about, I'm probably not going to come across as objective. But when it comes to talking about a video game and my review of a video game, I absolutely am objective. If you look at my coverage of Apex Legends, I've been very negative about the marketing around the game and a lot of other things, but I still gave the game a strong score in my review, knowing that, accepting that Battle Royale just isn't for me, and there's not a lot to complain about in a free-to-play game. None of that has to or requires any sort of internal access. So, to be honest with you, being blacklisted is a badge of courage and is something that you should use to tell people that my opinion is not being swayed, because I don't have any interactions with these developers. And the idea that SkillUp and myself being negative towards EA affecting you, it's probably true. It's probably true, because the more negative hype people see on YouTube, we saw this with Escape from Tarkov, when people cover negative things, developers see that. They don't focus on the positive. Positive reviews can be bought for a few $100 from mid-tier YouTubers. They don't need to worry about them. They need to worry about the ones with the reach that are going to point out all the bugs and all the nastiness inside of their game. And that's a good thing. Being able to make YouTube videos and reach a huge audience is an awesome way to earn a living. If you're worried about, now I don't do this full time, and I don't know if you do, I assume maybe you do, start a Patreon, or better yet, a Subscribe Star to offset the cost of buying games. That's what I did, right? So if it's just about early access, who cares? I mean, the long form video game review is basically dead anyway. Nobody really reads reviews. I mean, they watch them in cases of, for example, Angry Joe, but even his video reviews aren't super duper popular unless it's a super duper popular game, or it's super duper bad. But people are willing to wait. People understand that you got the game on launch day just like everybody else, and your review is going to come out after a week or two. Will you have to press? Sure. But getting the game early is absurd. And I don't know. If I had to pick a side between standing with my YouTube brethren and my YouTube cohorts against developers, or interacting with developers and trying to have a favorable relationship, that decision is easy for me. I'm not judging people who want to have that relationship, but I think you're probably placing way too much value on it, especially in 2019 when consumer advocacy is way better and people are willing to wait for someone they trust. So, sorry I got you blacklisted, bud. At least you got to make a long video about it, and hopefully you bounce back from this. Hope you enjoyed this video, everyone. We'll talk to you again real soon.